Hi, Timothy Unkert here. In this video, we're going to find the inverse function of linear functions that have both negatives and fractions. So let's take a look at problem one. We're first going to start off by just replacing f of x with y. So we're going to write y equals negative 3x plus 12. Our next step is to swap x and y. So instead of y, I'm going to write x equals negative 3y plus 12. After that, I want to solve for y. So I'm going to start by subtracting 12 from both sides. Okay, so I get x minus 12. These will cancel. Equals negative 3y. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to divide by negative 3. Okay, these will cancel. And I'm just going to move the y over here. So I get y equals x minus 12 over negative 3. But a lot of times what happens here is you multiply the top and the bottom by negative 1, so you don't have the negative 3 in the denominator. And multiplying by negative 1 over negative 1 divided by negative 1 is 1. Multiplying by 1 keeps it the same, so you can do that. So if I multiply the top by negative 1, I get negative x plus 12. And then if I multiply the denominator by negative 3, I get just 3. Our last step is to write this with the inverse function notation. So the inverse function of f of x, in this case, is going to be equal to negative x plus 12 over 3. Okay, let's take a look at the second one. So the second one here, we're going to find the inverse function of f of x equals 1/3 x minus 7. So I'm going to rewrite this as y equals 1/3 x minus 7. Okay, now I want to swap x and y, so I'm going to say x equals 1/3 y minus 7. I'll then want to start to solve for y, so I'm going to add 7 to both sides. These will cancel, and I'll get x plus 7 equals 1/3 y. Now I want a full y, so if I multiply 1/3 by 3, that's going to give me just y. But if I multiply one side by 3, I have to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to multiply the other side by 3, and I'll distribute the 3 here, so I'll get 3x 3 times 7 is 21, so 3x plus 21 equals y. Okay. Lastly, I can write y as the inverse function of f of x. And I'm going to move it to this side, so I'm going to say the inverse function of f of x equals 3x plus 21. And we're done with that one. Let's take a look at a couple more examples. All right, problem 3, we're finding the inverse function of f of x equals negative 5x plus 1/2. So I'm going to start by writing y equals negative 5x plus 1/2. I'm now going to swap x and y, so I'm going to say x equals negative 5y plus 1/2. I'll solve for y, so I'm going to start by subtracting 1/2 from both sides. And I'm going to get x minus 1/2 equals negative 5y. These will cancel. Okay, now I want to divide by negative 5. Now, what's going to happen here is I'm going to have x over negative 5. And I'm essentially multiplying times 1/5. So this is going to be plus a negative 1/5 plus, because we have a minus here, 1/10. Okay, and then we have negative 5 divided by negative 5, that's y. Last step, we're going to write with the inverse function notation. So we're going to say the inverse function of f of x. And if we want to bring the negative out of here, we can instead just write this as negative x fifths plus 1/10. Okay, and that's that one. Let's try one more. So this last one, we're going to find the inverse function of f of x equals 3/2 x plus 9. So first we're going to replace f of x with y. So we're going to say y equals 3/2 x plus 9. So we're going to swap x and y. We're going to say x equals 3/2 y plus 9. All right. So next step, we're going to now solve for y. We're going to subtract 9 from both sides. So we're going to get x minus 9 equals 3/2 y. And we want to continue to solve for y, so we want to get rid of the fraction of 3/2 by multiplying by the reciprocal 2/3. We've got to do that to both sides. Okay, these will cancel out on this side. So we're left with y on this side. And we're going to distribute the 2/3. So we do 2/3 times x, so we get 2/3 x. And then we do 2/3 here. We still have this minus. So 2 times 9 is 18. But we have the third on the bottom there. And we're going to change the y to the inverse function notation. So we're going to say the inverse function of f of x equals 2/3 x. And we can simplify 18/3 to 6, so minus 6. And that's all there is to it. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Hope to see you in the next one.